Hello, this is Blue Star, Defender of Equestria, and this is my next panel on the Ponies of Maretime Bay, character analysis of the main five and the villains. Certainly, and a lot of things have changed in My Little Pony, including our new heroes and supervillains. So, it's always interesting to look at, how they've changed and what kind of characteristics they have. So, let's get going.
Magica. Right there?
What?
Start putting it towards the bottom here.
Oh.
Like on?
No.
Right there? No, not got the guy.
Stop. Okay.
Alright. Sorry.
Alright, so. So, in general, it's like, as once said in Babylon 5, no pony here is exactly what they appear. Because most of these characters are not what I would like to call just this characters. I don't really want to use the term one-dimensional, but it's like, this is a shy pony, this is an adventurous pony, this is a creative pony. That these ponies are a lot more like real people, and that they have more than one side to them, and that they're not just this or that. For example, like Zip, yeah, she has a clone of pretty much Rainbow Dash's Cutie Mark, and yeah, flying's important to her, but she's also interested in things like the sciences, detective work, figuring out stuff, so she's not just one thing. And of course, as always, no pony's perfect. They have their good and not so good points, and in some ways, we spend the first few chapters seeing them at their not so good side. Which I think is good, because like people accuse Celestia of, oh, she's perfect, she has like no emotion, she's never this, that. Well, these ponies are absolutely not that. So, I'm going to talk basically on how this is basically going to work. I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the cutie mark. I'm going to start off with a little bit of cutie mark analysis, like, okay, what do I think this cutie mark might represent and mean? Then their good points, and also their not so good points, because in some ways it'd be a little... it wouldn't be good to only talk about their good points. It would be also good to talk about their bad points, because those might be the things that they have to overcome in the future. So next slide, please. Starting off with Hitch, dad and rule-loving protector of Maretime Bay. Yes. So starting off with Hitch's cutie mark, I think his is kind of straightforward. That yeah, it's the shield and the horseshoe, being like the protector of Maretime Bay and all those sorts of things. The two little green hearts, at first I thought were sort of representation of the critter magnet that we saw in A New Generation, but now that Sparky has entered the story, might be representing him. So, let's just say Hitch and my OC would definitely get along very well, because at first Hitch appears to be, don't worry, I'll save you! But he's definitely more than that. The second thing with Hitch is definitely, rules rule! Hitch has a whole song about this in Tell Your Tale. But sometimes that can lead him to not always knowing what to do. Because like in chapter 1, in the scene on the beach with the pony, it's like, is magic allowed on the beach, Sheriff Hitch? At first it's like, well, it's not allowed, so maybe it's okay. In some ways that's the correct response, but, there isn't a rule for him to quote or say, so he's like, I don't know how to respond to that, so... But Hitch is definitely more than just a strong sheriff character, because he also likes critters. And the first time we see this in chapter 1, it's like, on my surprise, it's like why he finds this egg on the beach. He takes it back to the sheriff's station, he takes care of it, he does what any good sheriff should do. But he's like, I can't let any pony know that I actually like critters and stuff. I think subconsciously that he's like, I am the sheriff of Maretime Bay. I'm not supposed to like critters and eggs and stuff. But this is why I like Hitch, in that, he eventually realizes he doesn't have to pick. He can be both. Because again, real people have a lot more different sides. Sometimes we're that strong stallion sheriff that we need to be, and sometimes we like critters, and that's okay. And it's like, does any pony feel like this is familiar somehow? Because besides being, this is why I almost feel like Hitch is almost like a representation of like the bronies, because I think we've probably all been in this situation at some point in the past. It's like, I know I have, that it feels like we have to pick, but we don't. But Hitch says, no, we don't have to, because these are two sides of Hitch's character. But of course, now sometimes the not so good points that, yeah, because he, is driven by, he is definitely the law and order pony and rules rule. And again, sometimes he doesn't know what to do. So we see in chapter 2, Growing Pains, where in some ways, this is Hitch's worst nightmare. Because there's this thing that, first off, doesn't have any rules at all. It's called magic. The other is that magic, almost by definition, enables you to break all the rules. You can break the laws of gravity, the laws of physics, in some cases even the laws of time. So Hitch's first response to this is, okay, I'm going to make a whole bunch of rules to control magic. And to some degree, I think that may have been the correct thing, because obviously you have to have rules for everything, like speed limits don't exist because, we don't want you to have fun driving your car. It's because we don't want you to go flying off a curb at 50 miles an hour and end up wrapped around a tree. But Hitch goes way too far to the point where it's like he bans magic altogether, and that causes a far greater problem. And again, because he relies on some of the rules to tell him what to do, in this situation he's almost what I call rush panicking. It's like, I know I have to do something. I don't know what I have to do, but I have to do something because otherwise things are going to get even worse and worse, so I have to do something and I have to do it right now. Which leads him to this. It leads him to doing something that I think every pony knows is the wrong thing to do. But fortunately, with a little bit of encouragement or with listening to his friends, he realizes, wait, this isn't me. It's like, I'm sorry, every pony. I'm just scared and unsure. And that's also sort of what I like about Hitch, is that he shows that, yeah, sometimes the strong stallion sheriff doesn't know what to do. Sometimes, he has bad days like everyone. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm scared and unsure. And that's why it's so important for Hitch to have these friends, because sometimes, yeah, his emotions can take over, like we see in Have You Seen This Dragon? He's so worried about finding Sparky that he's going berserk and, basically turning Maretime Bay almost upside down. But again, I really like Hitch, because Hitch is definitely my kind of character, but, he shows that, again, that he has multiple sides, that he's not just, that he doesn't have to be one thing, he can be, more than one thing. He can still be the strong stallion sheriff and still, be a great dad to Sparky. And yes, and even, the strong ponies don't necessarily know what the right thing to do is. But again, fortunately for Hitch, he has amazing friends that are there to help him. Next, Izzy, a crafty pony of implacable joy. It's like, yes. Oh. It's like, yeah, starting. At first, Izzy's cutie mark didn't make any sense to me, but that was because we first see her in A New Generation. But obviously, we learn later on that, she's a crafter. And yes, all of a sudden this makes so much more sense. It's like, buttons, pins, and I guess a heart, because she has such a good heart. So yes, a talented artist, crafter, and upscaler. I mean a unicycler. Because what Izzy's doing is actually a thing. It's called upscaling, where you go and you find this beaten up old thing, you fix it up, you paint it, and then you go and you sell it at a profit. And as a maker, I really love that side of Izzy, that she takes these things that ponies throw away and think are just trash and garbage, and she turns them into something amazing. That's in some ways almost one of her main traits, is she's always positive. She sees potential in everything, and that goes beyond objects. It goes to ponies as well. Like in one of the episodes of Tell Your Tale, she says to like Rufus, It's like, fortunately for you, that you know, second chances are my speciality. Yeah, she's definitely a crafty pony of implacable joy. It's like, you know, she's always happy and positive and always trying to, you know, see the positive side of things. It's like, when Izzy is, sort of like with Pinkie Pie as well, it's like, you know things are bad when either Izzy or Pinkie Pie are tired or sad or something. It's like, yeah, a little, I mean, honestly, yes, she does have a lot of similarities to Pinkie Pie, but she's definitely a new character, because she has a lot of Pinkie Pie's zaniness, but she also has this lovely spiritual side to her. It's like, her sparkle, it's so bright right now. And I like that side. I like that. But in some ways, onto the almost not so good points, or the oh, maybe. Okay, fingers crossed. Oh, nope. Oh well, I'll have to do this the old-fashioned way, or maybe I'll just use my board.
Next one?
What?
Where's the next slide?
No, not yet, not yet. Like, yeah, that was sort of like Izzy's not so good points, or some ways difficulties. It's like, she had no friends before, but the good news is she has them now. It's like, yeah, that, you know, even in a new generation, it's like she has this like thing. It's like, I've never had, you know, any friends to use this before, and we kind of learn through Make Your Bark, Tell Your Tale that, yeah, it seems like Izzy didn't really have any friends before, because yeah, in her case, you know, she's this pony who's like always happy all the time, and for whatever reason, the other unicorns are all sad and just like, these two things are not compatible with each other. As one said in the Monster Racers, it's like, get lost, I'm trying to be sad. So if you're all being sad, you see this other pony that's being all happy all the time, it's like, it's gonna make you even more sad. So yeah, that probably meant that Izzy was like, you know, almost, not exactly an outcast, but not exactly a welcome pony, which is probably why we see that she's like living on like the edge of the Bridlewood forest, away from like Bridlewood. And that's definitely wrong, yes? I don't really know. I mean, I think Fluttershy she has friends. I mean, I think that may just be a Fluttershy thing. It's like, A, she likes animals, B, she's shy, so yeah, living in the center of town would be kind of difficult for her, I guess. But yeah, in this case, it's more like the other ponies don't really want to be around her because she makes them feel even more sad. But maybe now that they're not so sad, maybe that'll change. And again, the good news is she has them now with the main five. But as we hear in like Tell Your Tale, that it's like, I've never lived with friends before. The fact is, he's probably never lived with any pony before, other than her parents or something. So yeah, Izzy has a lot to adjust to and learn, and sort of also leads into sort of her not so good points. That sometimes, just like Pinkie Pie, sometimes she leaps before she looks / is oblivious to what's going on. Like, I love this picture of, what's wrong? You're acting like there's some evil, scary presence lurking in the shadows behind me. It's like, it was nice knowing you, Izzy. Oh. It's like, yeah, because she hasn't had a lot of friends before. She, in some ways, falls into the common problem and the common trap of that. She'll say something or do something before she thinks about, oh, how is that pony gonna feel before I say that? And she's like, oops, sorry. And, you know, definitely, you know, even in situations like this, it's that sometimes she can be just so positive and happy and stuff sometimes that she doesn't notice what's going on around her and stuff. But even so, I love Izzy. I think she's a great character. I look forward to, you know, learning more about her and seeing, you know, where they go with her and see what kind, not to mention she's, you know, other than Sunny, the only pony with, you know, unicorn magic. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of spells does Izzy learn and those sorts of things as well. So I guess next slide, please. Pip, not the pink pony princess you were expecting. It's like her cutie bark. I actually really like her cutie bark. It's like, being a performer, social media star person. She definitely, you know, notes, and the crown being second in line to the throne. It's It's like, yeah, so that kind of makes sense. And I always feel like this squiggly line thing, it sort of represents those like charts that see if you're trending or not. And again, being a social media star, obviously very important to her. But it's like, yeah, I definitely think a modern casual princess and serious social media star. I mean, yeah, she's a princess. She's almost the, it's almost a rule for Hasbro. They always love to, they always have to have at least one pink princess pony. Because they think that's what sells, and that's probably true to some degree. But she's absolutely not the kind of princess that you were expecting her to be. She's much more casual, she's much more fun. I mean, she's a social media star and stuff. It's like, we haven't really seen, characters like, I'm just striking now, but it's like in an episode of Tell Your Tale, she's having like a Slurpee drinking competition. I was thinking, what? How dare you suggest that her Royal Highness do something so demeaning and below her station? Obviously, she's not that kind of princess. That's why, again, she's a modern casual princess. That's, she's and all those sorts of things. But the thing I love the most about it, again, she never ceases to surprise me. I mean, even like her appearance is like, if you look at her proportions, she's actually slightly overweight, which, yes, I mean, look at her. I mean, you look at her compared to Zip. Zip is a little bit longer and a little bit taller.
She's older.
I'm not saying she's ugly or anything. I'm just saying she's slightly. No, she looks great. She's not. I said slightly overweight. There's a difference.
Punchy.
It's like, yeah, I mean, she's a little bit. Yes, obviously Zip is older. She's all that stuff. But yeah, but you look at
Maybe
her.
it's just baby fat. She's still small.
But anyway, the point I was getting to say is that she doesn't have to be a Barbie doll to be a social media star. She can still, and all those sorts of things. And again, her wings are she's like the only Pegasus that has like a different wing design. I always feel like Zip kind of was like the sport wings. She has like the ballerina wings in some ways. But yeah, again, Zip. I know I'm going to do that a lot. It's like Zip Pip is like, I apologize to Zip fans. But yeah, she's multi-talented. She's a singer, songwriter, and main stylist. I didn't see that coming.
Hey, everybody's got to have a job.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, yeah, that's something I do like. It's like, the main five did not leave their lifelong homes just to sit in the Crystal Bright house and hang out. So, which is what, in some ways, the first couple chapters were about. It's like, particularly for Zip. But yeah, it's like she has all these talents and interests that you wouldn't expect, a princess or a character like Pick to have. Like, she likes spooky things. Again, I didn't see that coming. That was surprising, but I like that. I mean, but she definitely does have some of the traits that we kind of expect her to have as a social media star. It's like, I need an emergency restyling! But I think it's a little bit toned down from like a character like Rarity. Like, she's not above getting like her hooves dirty a little bit, but obviously there's a point where it's like, oh my gosh, my mane is all messed up, help me! Now into her not so good points in that hoof taps are key, and or she can get wrapped up in social media. Although I have a feeling I'm projecting with this other image because it's like, this is going to be me when the next chapter comes out. It's like, oh man, I got to edit all these videos. Because yeah, I mean, obviously it's a social media star. It's like, yeah, it's like likes, likes and the hoof taps and all that stuff. That stuff matters to you so much. I mean, there was almost a whole episode dedicated to this, and it's like she's almost like losing it. It's like, why can't I get one thing to trend? What is Sparky Spark? What is my skill set if not this? Because obviously as a social media star, when things are not going well, it's like why am I doing this? Why, and all those sort of things. Like, ugh. So yeah, and that was almost the lesson that she had to learn in Alakon, is that it's not always about being perfect. It's not always having the most hoof taps. It's about being true to yourself. And as a YouTuber myself, it was like, you have to do this because you enjoy doing it and all those sorts of things. And if you're not enjoying doing it, you shouldn't, because it's a lot of work, and definitely and if you're trying to be in it for the if you're trying to be in it for the money, especially with My Little Pony stuff, you're going to be in for bitter disappointment. So yeah, you have to do these things because you're enjoying doing them and being true to yourself, because otherwise, yeah, there will always be someone who has more views, more subscribers than you. It's almost the rule. And even if you don't, maintaining that can be very difficult in itself. But still, I like Pip, that it shows again that, you know, that she can have all these different interests and different sides. She's not just a princess, she's not just a singer, she could be a maid stylist, she could like spooky things. It's like, and I just really like her, and I think that it's just so great to see a character with never ceases to surprise me.
Unless you have written that guy for that place. I just walk through the
Oh, okay. All right. Next slide, please. Sunny, an adorable ray of sunshine. It's like, Oh.
I'm going to write out the
Oh, okay. At Sunny's cutie mark, it's like, at first it didn't really make much sense to me, but I guess it's kind of like Twilight Sparkles, but instead of the stars representing each of her friends, I guess they represent each of the pony kinds. I guess the big one being Sunny with her ponytail and all those sorts of things, representing like Sunny bringing the ponies together and all that stuff. So, yes, a curious pony who's just so adorable. It's like, I love her. She's just great. I mean, I think my favorite Sunny line is not actually said by Sunny, it's said by Hitch during the Hitch switch. It's like, hey Zip, want to help me show ponies around the magical garden? And he's batting his eyes. It's like, oh, he's adorable. And she just wants to help and make the world a brighter place. I just love that. I mean, that's great. It's so great to see a character that is motivated by basically service, by making the world a brighter and better place for everybody. I mean, like, she did all this stuff with trying to bring magic back, not because she wants magic, but because she wants all the ponies to be friends again and have their magic back. And yeah, and just sort of like with Twilight, you know, her sort of like almost role within, you know, the main five, and Equestria in some ways as a whole is to hold the ponies together and inspire them to be better ponies. Like in A New Generation, it's like, I know this isn't the line, but this is the sense of it. Because when they're stuck across the chasm, there's no obvious way across. All the ponies are fighting and arguing with each other and wanting to like turn around and go home. It's like, all right, now everybody stop! We're gonna find a way across, we're gonna find the crystals, and we're gonna go and save Equestria. Again, not the line, but was absolutely the sense of it. And as Izzy tells her in Alakan, is like, you inspire us to be better ponies. That's your true power. And that's why I think that she's such an amazing pony, and I think she's so great. And again, in like this picture, and you know, in the picture before, and it's like, I just want to help. Yeah, she can be sweet and understanding, but she can also be strong when she needs to be. Again, during that scene with the chasm, again, it's like, you know, generally, yeah, she's sweet and kind and nice, but yeah, when she needs to be, she can be firm and, you know, like, everybody just stop, we're gonna get across, and all those sorts of things. And sometimes that can be difficult, especially if you're sweet and nice all the time, you know. It is like, you don't want to be mean or, you know, assertive and stuff, but she shows that she can, so that's very good. And as potential Alicorn princess in the future, that is a very good trait to have. But unfortunately, now into the not so good parts and or the difficult bits. Certainly in chapter 1, she sometimes relies on magic too much. And also being the misfit pony, she has a lot of baggage, shall we say. Yeah, like sometimes relying on magic too much. In chapter 1, we see her, it's like, don't worry, Posy, I'm going to show you how special and amazing magic can be. Which, considering the problem was that the other ponies are jealous that all the other ponies have magic and they don't, was not exactly the best approach. Because, yeah, that makes them feel even more jealous. Because, yeah, I mean, obviously, she believes in magic, she thinks it's amazing, it's great, she thinks it solves all the world's problems and stuff, but as we know, that sometimes magic causes even greater problems than it solves, and she has yet to learn that, so, yes and yes. Because Sunny, unfortunately, believed in Pony Unity and stuff, in a world that was basically against it, that basically meant that she was the misfit pony, and kind of like Izzy, didn't have a lot of friends, because in a new generation, we see that even Hitch, her like lifelong friend, at one point says, if you keep doing this, I can't be your friend anymore. Ouch. And that's why I love this picture of Izzy with Sugar Moonlight, because that scene at first didn't seem important, but in some ways reveals so much about Sunny and, being the misfit pony, because the misfit pony sat next to the popular pony. That had to be weird. And again, it showed really, how the social media stars, they say they care, but sometimes they may not, and shows that, that Sugar Moonlight may not even care, may even remember Sunny, but obviously she doesn't care. She's here to almost do a business transaction. It's like, hang out with us and you'll be even more popular, because we know if we hang out with you, we'll be popular too. So that's why. And yeah, this scene puts a whole new perspective on the scene later with Pip, where it's like, Pip, the popular ponies, they want me to hang out with them. What should I do? Because this has probably never happened before in Sunny's life, like ever. It's like, beforehand, Sugar Moonlight would have probably had nothing to do with Sunny. Now all of a sudden she wants to hang out with her, and now it's like, I don't know what to do. Should I hang out with them or not? And at first, she falls to the temptation of that, oh, I'm popular now, yes, I'll go and hang out with them. And then of course she realizes very quickly that, yeah, these ponies don't actually care about me or these causes, and so, and Sunny had to learn that, when you're running away, your true friends are the ones that run after you. Because there was that whole big rally, and they all see Sunny run away upset, and none of those ponies run after her. The ponies that run after her are her true friends, the main 5. So again, also more of like the baggage stuff. It's like, she's been fighting this fight her whole life. She's been alone for a lot of her life, and she lost her dad at a relatively young age. So despite the outward Sunny demeanor, there's a lot of difficult baggage things going on. But the good news is that with the help of her friends, she's learning to overcome those things. I mean, that speech by Izzy, it's like, had amazingly untold wisdom. It's like, you're not different. Being an alicorn doesn't make you different. It makes you the same. You're every pony all in one. And, again, it's like, you inspire us to be better ponies. That's your true power. And that we don't care, and also basically, we don't care what kind of pony you're on. You are our friend. But again, I love Sunny. I just love how adorable she is, and how she can be sweet, understanding, but also strong when she needs to be. And she may not be ready for it yet, but I think eventually she will make a great princess of Equestria. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. All right. This is it. A princess that doesn't want to be a princess. It's like, I know. And then it's like, it's like just about every kid wants to be a princess, but then I was thinking, well, there's actually plenty of shows where a princess doesn't want to be a princess. But still, Zip's cutie mark. At first I thought, no, she's not Rainbow Dash 2.0, but then she practically has Rainbow Dash's cutie mark. But no, she's definitely not Rainbow Dash, because even though her cutie mark is, very similar to hers, it's basically just the lightning bolt in Zip's colors, but she also has the crown that represents her being not only a princess, but the first in line to the throne. So in some ways, I feel like there should be something more, because again, there's more to Zip than just flying, which I guess, or adventures or action and stuff that I think that the lightning bolt is supposed to represent. But overall, I think this cutie mark is, does represent her fairly well. Yes, I do love Zip. She's sassy, confident, adventurous, and inquisitive. And again, she's got more. Yes, flying is important to her. It's absolutely important to her, but she is interested in things like the sciences, understanding how things work. And I love her, like her sassiness and her confidence. It's like when, she first meets Zip, it's like, Izzy says, like, her mom is the queen. It's like, wait, does that mean you're a princess? It's like, oh, it's like the sheriff just became a detective. But at the same time, sometimes she's unsure of herself, which is, because again, I mean, she's in a difficult position. She, in some way, you know, in chapter 1, she's sort of trying to figure out, what is my role within this community? Because, and you would think at first it's easy, because, oh, she's going to be a princess someday. But that's exactly the problem. Because in this universe, being a princess is a thing of responsibility, you know? That being a princess could mean everything from doing boring things like paperwork to all the way up to putting yourself into physical danger to fight off a supervillain. And Zip knows this, that when she becomes queen, any chance of pursuing like her own path will be over. So that's why she's in conflict in chapter 1, because it's like, I don't really fit in here. I don't really know what my role is here. Maybe I should just do what my mom says and just go back to Zephyr Heights and be a princess the way she wants me to be. But yeah, I mean, the good news is that she's not rejecting her royal duties. She's saying, I'm not ready to take them on yet, because I still have so much to learn about magic and myself. That she's deciding, so basically commissions herself to learn and study magic, and she just simply wants to understand how it works. But she still, she still has to learn, what kind of pony she is as well, because yeah, the main 6, the main 5 are definitely not children, but they're definitely young adults. They probably still have a lot to learn about themselves. It's in the Star Wars Episode 3 audiobook, but not in the movie, that a Jedi's education truly begins when they become a master. Or, translation in the real world, in some ways, we truly only understand who we really are when we become adults. Yeah, so I like these things that, she has a lot that's going on in terms of her character and her story and all those sorts of things. And again, as a computer programmer, I do appreciate that, that she is interested in things like technology, the sciences, and trying to learn about those sorts of things, because I think we need more people like that, and I think it's good to encourage those sorts of things. But now, unfortunately, not onto her not so good point, is that she's got the gear, but she may not know how to tie things together yet. I mean, in one of the Tell Your Tales, I was like, I think Zip might have to go back to Detective Academy. But the problem is, she hasn't had any formal training in how to be a detective. And as a computer programmer, I can tell you, it's like different thing, but same kind of problems. And time it's not as simple as just reading detective stories. But yeah, as a computer programmer, I have to sometimes do detective work. It's like, all right, which line of code murdered that invoice? It was you, wasn't it? Of course, I have the option to, yes, or in some ways, run the invoice again and see, oh wait, it blew up there. That's where the problem is. But yeah, often you have to look at all the data, the clues, and see, okay, where did the problem occur? And it's like, okay, it occurred there. Okay, now I know where I need to fix that. And Zip hasn't really figured that out yet. She's, sometimes she's in some ways bouncing between being impulsive and, rushing to conclusions and looking too deeply in things and ignoring it, like in Tell Your Tale. I guess a game is a hook. It's like she's jumping to conclusions with no, just for the sake of jumping to conclusions, it almost feels. In Have You Seen This Dragon, she's almost overlooking obvious clues and trying to be like, no, a good detective doesn't jump to conclusions. But at the same time, it's like, no, you should look into that and investigate that. So, but I think in some ways her bigger problem is that she needs to trust herself rather than her gear. As what's said in an episode of Thunderbirds Are Go! It's like, use the greatest technology that's ever been created. Your brain. Think! But yeah, I remember oh darn it, I forgot the name of the episode. It's like Hoof Done It. It's like she puts on the visor and she's chasing Misty. It's like, no, you don't need to put on the visor. She's standing right there. And so I mean, obviously she's got all this cool basic gear and stuff, and it's great, but she really needs to spend more time learning how to use her brain and to put all this stuff together. And in some ways I like that as well, because yeah, totally. Our world is so technological based. It's like, here, use this app, it'll fix everything. No, sometimes that's not the case. No, sometimes you have to do this yourself or figure it out. So I kind of like that. And again, that kind of goes back to that. Sometimes she's a little unsure of herself. She's like, well, I'm not really sure if that's, the right thing to investigate, or should I go down that road or not. So, but yeah, sometimes she needs to learn how to trust herself more. Which leads to me that she's almost better as sort of like an investigator / scientist rather than a detective, because objectively, the times we see her succeeding is when she's like investigating magic and those sorts of problems. Because right now as a detective, she's not doing so well. I mean, Pip planted clues in the hope that Zip would find her. I mean, what criminal would do that? But again, as a computer programmer, I know sometimes it's not as easy. Sometimes it's easy to overlook the obvious clue. And I must admit, it's like, I was playing this game called Elite Dangerous, and one long story short is that you're supposed to follow this person around into each of the star systems, and it's like, I read this message, and I'm like, where do I go? And then somebody posts later, it's like, she says it at the end of the thing. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. Oh. But yeah, I mean, we see her succeeding in Winter Wish Day, where she puts all this information together, ironically, without using any of her gear, and figures out that, oh, wait a minute, she figures out what's going on. So, yeah, so for now, she seems to be better as like the investigator scientist, but I think the good news is that she is learning. Again, being a detective and figuring out stuff, that's hard, because you have to have like a specific kind of mindset and understand, when should I move on? And, oh, no, I shouldn't move on yet, I have to keep going. But in any case, I love Zip. I think she's an amazing character. I think she's great. And definitely look forward to seeing where she goes with this, because again, she has such an interesting but difficult problem. But I think in the end, she's going to figure it out. So, and I think she will learn how to be a detective and how to tie all these things together. So. Yay, it worked! Misty, the most adorable minion ever. I would like to analyze Misty's cutie mark, but she doesn't have one, so that makes that difficult. Definitely the phrase that I think describes Misty the best is, I was doing nothing, I just want my cutie mark. Yeah, these three pictures almost represent, I think, Misty's three basic emotional states of like, almost like the minion like attack mode of, where were we? The most like adorable, it's like, oh, I actually kind of like you. Can we be friends? And the other is, I was doing nothing. I just want my cutie mark. Yeah, busted. But yeah, she's just so genuinely adorable. She's just so nice and sweet. She's great. I mean, if you met this pony on the street, you would actually want to, be friends with her, and and all those sorts of things. But definitely her biggest problem is like you never think that she's the minion of the supervillain. That's why she makes the perfect minion of a supervillain, because it's like even in an episode of Tell Your Tale, it's like they practically bust her and sneaking around the Crystal Bright house, and it's like, oh, don't worry, it's just Misty. She could never do anything bad, right? Oh. But yeah, her biggest thing is that she basically has no life experience, because she seems to have been almost raised by Opaline. So it's like what she said when that scene in the cutie the sleepover episode. Great, not functioning at the moment. It's like, this is the best thing I've ever eaten. It kind of makes me sad, because I believe that statement is probably true. I doubt that Opaline serves her like chocolate or candy-covered popcorn, so, And that leads to her, that's also kind of why she's like this, kind of a thing, because it's like in a lot of situations, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm busted. What do? I don't know what to do. And yeah, even she says at one time, it's like, why do I panic and, do the wrong thing? Because she has like no experience, so she doesn't know what to do in a lot of those situations. And this is kind of why and definitely her situation right now, and yeah, because she's like been raised by Opaline, she's almost become like dependent on her. It's like, it would, Opaline says, it's like, it would be a shame if you, betrayed your only friend. Because without me, you'd have nothing. No home, no family, no cutie mark. So, yeah. So that's why I feel like, to borrow the sort of the intro to the Great Council from Babylon 5, yes, what? Oh, okay, yes, yeah, the traditional unicorn sleepover, thank you. It's like, yeah, the intro to the Great Council in Babylon 5. We are Grey. We stand between the darkness and the light. And that's definitely where Misty stands right now. She's standing between the darkness of Opaline and the light of the main five. And that, now that she's actually, getting to know the main five and actually being friends with them and all those sorts of things, that, she's starting to say that, what? These ponies, they're not so bad. They're actually nice to me. Maybe I can actually be my friend and stuff. And that's putting her into like conflict sometimes. Like in this picture, it's like, I've actually kind of grown to like you, but so after I take you back to Opaline, I'll bring you right back. It'll be perfect. It'll be fine, right? Because again, she's almost because Opaline is basically promised her, if you serve me, I'll give you what you want, which is your cutie mark. So so that makes that difficult because that's going to be a difficult thing to break. Hence why her future is, hence Misty. Because that's exactly what her future is. It's misty. It's uncertain. It's like she could either go to the dark side or go to the light side, and it's going to be an interesting question of, what happens. I mean, I think we all know that, at some point, will she join the main five? I think at some point, yes. But will she join the main five as the sixth member of the main five, or just be one of their friends? I think the answer is, she's definitely. I think that knowing a show like this, I don't think they're going to add a member to the main cast. But she's absolutely going to be living in Maretime Bay at some point. But how that happens is going to be interesting because because Opaline is on to her. It's like, were you having fun with those ponies? And it's like, I wonder if it really was a mistake, or are you just going soft on those ponies? It's like, Opaline's not stupid. She can see what's going on. She can see that there's a friendship possibly forming, and that could be dangerous for Opaline. So Opaline might move against Misty first, but at the same time, she totally needs Misty at this moment. She needs her. So again, Misty is definitely, Misty's future is definitely very misty and uncertain. But I really like Misty. She's such an adorable, nice character, and we all feel for her. I think as every pony does, because she's in such a difficult place. She's basically been raised by this super evil pony, but she herself has still remained an incredibly nice and genuine pony. And I hope that she turns from the dark side to the good side, and will be friends with all the main five. So, pushing the wrong buttons. It's like Opaline, a envious supervillain with a painful past because she's compromised. It's like, yes. This is about the only decent picture I've been able to find of Opaline's cutie mark. Now I sense that I will get probably a dozen links to, a picture somewhere. But yeah, it's like, her cutie mark is kind of interesting. It's, it almost feels like it's the anti-Unity crystals, because it reminds me kind of how the basic general shape of the Unity crystals are, but knowing the way that Opaline is, she's the anti-Unity, so... I mean, so I have a feeling there's probably more going on with this cutie mark. Like, for example, are these three little star things, are they some sort of special effect, or are they actually part of this cutie mark or not? Because I almost feel like that could be maybe the three pony kinds, instead of being brought together, being almost divided and being brought under her control. So, yes, it is Opaline definitely a cunning, deceptive aristocrat. It's like, yes, unlike Twilight Sparkle, oh yeah, Oberly definitely thinks that she's better than every pony. Just like in that, her outward appearance is that calm, plotting, Aristotic, it's like, plotting supervillain kind of a thing. It's like, yes, definitely the line that describes Oberly the best is, be grateful you get to bask in my alicorn glory. But I really like Opaline because she's cunning, deceptive, but she also believes in things like recon, which is something we haven't really seen a lot from the supervillains. That's because, interestingly, it appears that in the past, she went up against the main six and lost, and they did most of her magic. So she's trying to avoid that mistake again. She doesn't want to just bust through the door like most of the other supervillains have. She wants to know that, what is on the other side of that door, because for all she knows, the Crippled Bright House, it's the state-of-the-art fortress with alarm systems, armed guards, and defenses, and if she just busts through, then she could, get her butt kicked and be in an even worse position than she is now. So that's why she's kind of like not moving now, because even though she is compromised, she's still pretty formidable in terms of magic. Definitely another thing but yes, on the outside, Opaline is definitely this Aristotic. It's like, I am better than every pony because I am an alicorn. All magic comes from me. Again, you should be grateful that I have just graced you with my presence. And that's why, but underneath is two things, anger and envy. It's like I am the other thing that defines Opaline is, I am an alicorn, magic is rightfully mine. We see this so many times, and in one of the Tell Your Tale episodes, we see that the main five are like casting their magic out to like the wishing star, and the background goes all like green and like envy, and she's like, that. It's like almost like, how dare they use that magic? That magic should be mine, all mine. Yeah, she's driven by, that thing is, I deserve. And that is a very dangerous thing sometimes. I kind of almost like that, sometimes that angry side, it almost breaks through. It breaks through sometimes in it's like, Missy says Bright House, it's like, whatever! It's almost like that cold, calm, Aristotic demeanor is breaking down. And we see this so much in, the end of Have You Seen This Dragon, where she's just unloading on Misty, because it's not Misty she's mad at, it's the situation, because she's compromised. She's a shadow of her former self. She has only a fraction of her powers and her magic. Another great scene from the episode 3 audiobook was when Darth Vader is waking up after becoming Darth Vader for the first time and realizing that he's all disabled and his powers are not what they were. It's like, you are a painter gone blind, a composer gone deaf. You remember where the power was, but the power you can touch is only a fraction. And that's why she's so angry and stuff. She's frustrated, and it's like when she gets the dragonfire at first, she's like, oh, it's been hundreds of moons since I've seen dragonfire, and of course she puts the dragonfire on and she feels magic and power for the first time in ages, but then she realizes it's not enough. It's like, no, I need more to get my powers back. And that's why she's not yelling. She's angry at that. She's not angry at Misty. She's angry at the situation that I got a taste of power, but I need so much more of it to get back everything that I have. And unfortunately for Misty, she decides to unload all that anger on her. But that's what makes her more than just a supervillain. That she has interesting motivations. She's not just here, I have come to take over the world, because I want to take over the world. It's like, I want to take over the world because it is rightful, as an alicorn, it is rightfully mine. It's like, I should be princess, not these silly ponies. And that makes, again, I guess that makes her so much more interesting as a character. She's not just simply, you know, some force that the main five will overcome, that it feels like they're going to have to overcome that somehow. And again, knowing this show, it's like, sure, there will definitely be like a physical, magical confrontation, but there's going to be something else that happens. They're going to have to somehow overcome that anger, that envy. But yeah, but all those things is that I really like Opaline. I think that she's a great character. She makes an awesome supervillain, and I definitely look forward to learning more about her. Because, yeah, like even her alternate version of history, shall we say, is like she claims that all magic comes from alicorns. I don't believe that's true, but there's probably an element of truth to that, and I'd like to see what that element of truth is. But again, this is definitely my kind of supervillain, and I look forward to seeing more from her and seeing, you know, where they go with this. Yeah, so I really like these characters and, you know, in these new ponies because, again, no pony here is exactly what they appear. There's more than going on than just this or that. And that, yeah, they can have multiple sides, they can have interesting motivations, and that they're not just shy or artistic or something, and that they can be more than one thing. And there's definitely more going on than we first appear. And I think these characters are great, and I look forward to, you know, learning more about them and seeing where they go and how they grow. So I guess that's it.
Two more slides.
There's two more, yeah, there's 2 more slides, so yeah. So yes. Yeah. There we go. So does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Do you think the showdown between Sunny and Opaline will result in Opaline's defeat? Do you think she'll have to just...
Do you think Opaline would be what we call the returning villain?
Yeah.
These damn miserable ponies, I'll get them next time.
Okay. I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Exactly. You never see
I don't
Dr.
know.
Claw, but he always comes back with henchmen to try to foil
Yes.
the plans.
I mean, it's an interesting question with that, because the ponies are completely, well, they know that there's an evil pony out there, but they don't know who it is, they don't know where she is. I feel like if they knew where Opaline's castle was, they would move against her now and she'd lose against, because against like the main five, but against the whole of Equestria, she'll lose. So, but it's possible that, yeah, I mean, again, so I don't know if they're gonna have like repeated confrontations with like direct confrontations with Opaline, like when is like Misty gonna get busted, or is she gonna get busted?
Because it seems like they need more than just one supervillain to kind of keep. She needs hench ponies,
Yeah, she needs
basically.
hench ponies.
She needs some underlings more than just. Misty definitely makes a good spy, makes a good mole.
Yeah.
But she needs minions.
He means midgets, so yes.
There's someone else who can go and fight on her behalf
Maybe.
until she's ready.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yes. She probably does. I mean, that's, again, I think it's another thing about, you know, it's a 3D show, there's not the opportunity to make like a whole army of characters for Opaline to go attack like Ponyville in, but you never know.
I still have yet to see the show, but I'm all for spoilers. I'm probably the only one here. Do you think Opaline can be redeemed, or is she like Cozy Glow, where
I don't know.
evil permanent?
Pure evil, it's like, why, Cozy Glow, why? You're so young! I mean, I have a feeling probably because the alternatives are not, the alternatives are not very, I would say, children appropriate in some ways, I guess. But again, they've done that kind of stuff before. I mean, they imprisoned a child in stone, possibly forever. It was only because she committed high treason, so...
Just like all the others.
Oh, it was.
Do you think the Terrible Trio would make a comeback and Sunny would have to face them?
Maybe, but it's sort of like, I think it's sort of a general, it's again the thing of the show is that I think we're not completely throwing away the G4 canon, but we don't want to be like linked to it per se. So like bringing back characters, but of course there was that message from that very well pony that we know. but it's possible. But yeah, I think I think Opaline will probably be redeemed at some point, but
Let's hope not.
let's hope not. Again, it's like a lot of this stuff is like, when is that going to happen? Because if it does happen, well, it's going to be a pretty short series.
Because if we look at Discord, I think Laura Faust's plan for Discord was to be completely evil.
Yes.
But the showrunners that replaced her kept him on the good side, but still, I'm gonna try this.
Yes, well, he is Discord. It is kind of his thing, though. It's his thing to cause trouble and chaos and stuff. So, but I think you're right. It's that, I mean, because again, they release him from Stone, they put him back into Stone, and then at some point they decide, you know what? Let's reform Discord and make him a good guy, because we actually like this character. Anybody else have any other questions?
Do you see any possibility in a first confrontation with Opaline kind of resulting in sort of like an apocalyptic scenario, kind of like what we were dealing with at Sonic SatAM, where Robotnik is actually in charge and it becomes like a freedom fighter mission?
Interesting.
I must admit, I haven't seen a lot of Sonic stuff, but I think I may have seen a cartoon that was kind of like that. That was ages ago, but
Basically, Robotnik takes over.
Oh, yeah.
To fight back.
It's like you take. Yeah, I remember seeing a cartoon like that. I think it was in the '90s, maybe, or something like that. It was like the grown-up adult version of Sonic in some ways, quote unquote. But I don't think. Given the nature of this show, I don't think they'll do that, but there is a possibility that Opaline might get a lot more powerful. I mean, we see already that she's got a little spark of Dragonfire, but she's technically getting a little bit more powerful, so. But I mean, I don't think we're gonna see like a giant battle that like wrecks Equestria and all of a sudden she's in charge and stuff. But again, as the directors say, anything is possible. Anybody else have any other questions?
No.
All right, well, I guess that's it. So, so thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your SeaquestriaFest. So, until next time, this is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.